Welcome to Superhero Pow. I'm your host nerd, Tom Fremkin. So I've been watching some top 10 best of this and best of that videos recently, and it made me think of comic books, of course, as what are my top 10 greatest comic books of all time. When I see other people's lists, I'm usually like, nah, no way. See, I'm an action-adventure junkie. And while sure, I enjoy thoughtful stuff from time to time, it often comes across as, how did South Park put it? Oh yeah, gay cowboys eating pudding. All right, that's a little mean. But some of the biggest comic books, and I mean the biggest comic books, I just didn't care for. Saga? It's okay. But if I never read another issue again, I'm okay with that too. Why the Last Man? I really didn't like how it portrayed people. There was a Superman comic book called Created Equally, and I thought it handled the topic matter better. And the biggest of them all, Watchmen. Ready for a big secret? I never finished it. I got the first few issues and basically understood what was going on and didn't care for it, so I stopped buying it. Maybe I'll finish it one day. But I feel I should probably finish reading Camelot 3000 first, So now, with so many illustrious storylines tossed, oh, and I should add, I'm not much of a fan of Sandman or Preacher either. I'm a Justice League fan, what can I say? Blame it on the Super Friends. I've got enough problems of my own. I don't like reading about other people's. That's why I don't even read Spider-Man that much. I like Spider-Man, of course, but I have trouble paying my own rent too sometimes, so I don't really want to wallow in it. I don't know. Everybody's different, right? So if you haven't already excommunicated me from being a comic book fan after all of that, what could possibly be on my list? After giving it a lot of thought, I don't think I have one, which is insane. I mean, I love comic books and I love making lists. So how can I possibly not have a top 10 list of comic books? Guess I just feel that the comic books I like are all good. So I can't really think of one being better than the other. Now, I can compare Batman comics, this issue is better than that issue. But when I stop to think, which is the best of all time? I guess I kind of freeze. The great ones are all great. So it's pretty damn funny that my greatest comic books of all time list is empty. Well, not completely. I do have a top 3. Only 3 comic books have ever really blown me away, to where they're not just good, but they're special. But to bury the lead a little bit longer, yes, I have been moved to tears several times reading comic books. Supergirl dying in Crisis of the Infinite Earths was a big one. But I don't even really consider that one of the greatest comic books of all time. I mean, maybe it is, but is it better than the Infinity Gauntlet? I don't know. The Infinity Gauntlet is pretty perfectly to the point, where Crisis on Infinite Earths just kind of muddles around for a long portion of it. So which one's better? I don't know. I love them both. Okay, here's my top 3. Number 3, Batman the Dark Knight. Returns to a lot of people, but the actual published title is just Batman the Dark Knight. This Frank Miller comic took me and just about everybody else to the next level of superhero stories. And it doesn't deconstruct like Watchmen or The Boys. It's just as much as a straightforward superhero comic as, say, Batman versus the Mad Monk. But it was written with an intensity never really seen before. And being a possible future tale, it was allowed to break things. So this story was Batman going out in a blaze of glory, and it's amazing. Number 2, Kingdom Come. Alex Ross and Mark Waid basically did to the whole DCU what Frank Miller did to Batman in The Dark Knight. They kicked everything up to the next level and still managed to keep superheroes superheroes. Okay, mind you, the story was about superheroes losing their way. But unlike a deconstruction story, the characters were actively trying to prevent a deconstruction story, if you will. And it ranks higher because more heroes and Alex Ross's artwork, which is always breathtaking. And now, number one, the greatest comic book of all time, We Three. Didn't see that coming, did you? After I just said I'm an action-adventure junkie and keep your melodrama for your mama, I believe We Three is the greatest comic book ever. Because it's just one of the greatest stories about human cruelty and indifference to everything and everyone, juxtaposed against the desire for companionship and belonging, using the innocence of pets. And it's just stunning how unham-fisted this story is. At no point do they try to oversell their point. They know you get it. And you know, just like any great superhero story, it has a great hammer drop moment. I'm talking scenes like Superman flying up to the window in the Daily Planet and saying,
"General, would you care to step outside?"
In We Three, as the military is trying to capture the escaped animals, one of the scientists says, "You know, Dr. Roseanne was a genius. She even got them to work as a team." Boom. Hammer drop. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever read a comic greater than We Three. Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely are masters of the art form, but this weird little tale is unbelievable. Well, there you go. As for number 4 to number 10, I got no idea. What are your picks? Or are you like me? It's just too hard to measure the ones that aren't just breakout stars. Funny enough, though, as I was going through my collection, looking for comics, I felt it was easier to pick my favorite runs. So maybe I'll do that next time. But until then, thanks for spending time with me. And if you could be so kind to like, subscribe, and notify, I promise not to tell Power Girl you tried to kill her cat. Pretty sure she'd kick you to the moon.